Hello and welcome all you lovely people to another video of mine. Video game video. Wow. All right. Today I'm pretty excited because I'm testing out Evil West on the PC. Now this game has just been released. In fact, official release is of today. So I just quickly downloaded this game and I thought, let's share the first 25 or 30 minutes of this game. And I'll give you my thoughts, my personal opinion on the game. Let's start with what the game has to offer in terms of the visual options. Now, there are quite a lot at play here, and I'm playing this game on my Asus ROG Strix G15 Advantage Edition. So as you can see, most of the settings I've kept on Epic. As far as textures go, as far as anti-aliasing goes, all on Epic, except for the shadows, because to me personally, most of the games that I play, I don't think there is a significant impact when I reduce the quality of the shadow. So therefore, I'm just going by my personal preferences here. So I've just kept the shadows on medium. Well, apart from that, you also have AMD FSR on this game. And I'm going to talk about that a little later on in the game. But right at the start, I will mention this, that you are better off turning it on for this particular game. Yes, and I'm also going to talk about the various resolutions that are available. Now, while I was recording this game, I generally record at 1080p or at 1440p because when I'm recording, it's a direct capture from my laptop. And when I do a direct capture, like a screen record from my laptop, it takes a toll on the performance. Therefore, I kind of scale it down in terms of the resolution so that the performance is not significantly hit while I'm playing the game because it may have an impact on my overall experience. So just letting you know a few things before we start this game off. Starts off with this voiceover.
These vampires continued. A secret organization has trained people with remarkable skills.
Kind of gives you a backdrop.
Duty is to protect ordinary people from the forces of
Ooh. So the screen turned from kind of blue or turquoise blue to red. Evil West. This kind of setup kind of reminds me of Red Dead Redemption as well. It's a weird, it's an oddball kind of a game because even if you go to the wiki page, they clearly mention out there that they have been inspired by Devil May Cry and also the camera system of God of War from 2018 and even the latest God of War Ragnarok. So the inspiration is pretty obvious. But I would just kind of add a dash of Red Dead Redemption there as well, because hey, it's the wild, wild west after all. Nice cowboyish background music, you could say. Wow. The graphics so far, they look pretty good. And the visuals are definitely impressive.
While we're on the dynamite, Chester will be none too chatty with his guts sprayed all over a train carriage.
The voice acting is you could say, is a cliche kind of an experience because you'd obviously, come across these type of characters, the same kind of a voice, same kind of dialogues as well. And we're going to get to that in a short bit. If you've seen the trailers, if you've seen a little bit of gameplay videos on YouTube, then you would know exactly what I'm talking about. Boom, boom, kaboom. Speaking of boom, boom, well, it has a completely different meaning if you go to the Land of Smiles. Well, you even have that line following my boom, boom comment. What a coincidence. Okay, so here we finally get into the gameplay. And there's a small FPS counter on top. Now, again, I would just like to mention that I am doing a direct screen capture, so that may impact the performance a bit. But my overall experience in the first, say, about 25 to 30 minutes was not that bad. And I'm doing a voiceover over my gameplay recording. I'm not playing this real time, just so you know, because I generally like to record in both my local language or native language, which is Hindi, and in English. Therefore, most of the times I end up playing the game first and then doing a voiceover in both English and my native language. That's why I'm already mentioning that I've played this game. I've done 25 to 30 minutes of this game, and my time has been pretty enjoyable. I'll say that right at the start. The graphics and overall, I would say the visual fidelity of this game is pretty up there. I know this is not exactly a AAA title. I would say it's more like a AA title, but it looks good. It looks as good as a AAA title. I mean, the level design, the character design, the character animations, the atmospheric kind of an effects like the fog or the lighting, etc. They're all very AAA-like. So it's pretty good to see a AA title kind of leveling up and giving competition to even AAA titles. Even the cutscenes are really well done. So there's like this seamless transition from gameplay to cutscene. And the quality is pretty much at par when it comes to the transitions as well. I mean, there's no significant drop in the quality of the cutscene over to the quality of the actual gameplay. Now, while I was playing this game, let me tell you the resolution that I was playing this on. I was playing this on 1080p just to make sure that I get that silky smooth 60 FPS performance. And with 1080p for most of it, I was getting 60 FPS. Now, even these tutorials, these on-screen tutorials that come, from time to time, they're pretty similar to what you would see on God of War or even Devil May Cry for that. Now, while this is going on, let me just quickly read a little bit of information from the wiki page about what this game is about, because I do that in all my videos. So for those of you who don't know anything about Evil West, well, this is definitely a third-person shooter, as you can see on screen. And you assume the control of Jesse Rentier. You're a vampire hunter, obviously. And you're equipped with powerful firearms. You have a 6-shot pistol. You have a rifle. You're going to have a flamethrower somewhere down the line. You're going to have melee weapons, including a gauntlet that you see on his hand, even now. And you can use them to various effects. And we're going to talk about that in a short bit as well. So the enemies, they can be stunned. You can do special moves on them. There are finishers as well. So it's pretty interesting. And again, the movement of this character is very similar to God of War. How he gets over those obstacles, how he even does that Superman punch. You know what I'm talking about? The Superman punch is so much like Kratos from the God of War. It immediately reminds you of that. And I'm coming straight from God of War Ragnarok. I've been playing that non-stop, and I've clocked a lot of hours on that game. So to me, coming from a game like God of War over to this, it's like familiar territory. It feels very familiar. That Superman punch is, I would say, so similar to God of War. Let me know your thoughts in the comment section as well. So moving on to what the game is about again. You can even use the environment to your advantage, by the way. That's what the game description on Wiki will also tell you. Because you can toss these enemies into spikes. You can toss them into explosive objects. And use it to your advantage. Now, the only reason why you might see some kind of a slowdown in this video is probably because of the fact that it is a game capture directly from my computer. But trust me when I say this, I stopped the recording and I play post that as well. So post my initial 25 to 30 minutes, I did stop the recording and play post that without any screen recording. I turned the AMD FSR on, and the gameplay was absolutely buttery smooth. And I even took that resolution up to 4K, and I'm going to talk about that when I show you that setting on screen, but you'll know exactly what I'm talking about when we get there. So the theme of the game is pretty much like any other hack and slash action adventure third-person game, which is you move from one area to another. And this is where that Devil May Cry thingy comes into the picture, where you move from one area to another, and the only way to progress through that area is by defeating all the enemies that pop up or that spawn in that area. So yeah, basically you move from one area to another, rinse, repeat, pretty much it. Pretty much it, I would say. So the combat so far has been pretty good. I did not face any kind of a bug in close to an hour of playing. Apart from this video, which is 25 to 30 minutes of gameplay, I did play for another 30 minutes and I did not encounter any bugs. So for a game today to have no bugs, it's kind of a, you could say we live in such odd times, you know, where I'm talking about the fact that there are no bugs in a game. Well, when games get released, they should obviously not have any bugs. But hey, we've seen many games getting released which have been extremely buggy in the last 3 or 4 years, and then they obviously release a patch for it and they improve upon those bugs, and yeah, they work on it. But the initial release has always, for a lot of games, by the way, has been more or less buggy. But this game, in my first 1 hour of gaming, I did not encounter any bugs, so that's definitely a positive, I would say. And look at the visuals again. I mean, the landscape in the background, it looks absolutely stunning. The level design is really good, although this is a linear level, meaning that it's not an open world game like Assassin's Creed. For instance, in Assassin's Creed, if you can take a look at the hills or the valleys in the distance, you can literally land up there. You can travel and you can explore that area. So everything that is visible to your eye is explorable. But here, the level design is again very similar to God of War, I would say. What you see is what you get, and what you see is what you can explore. That's it. I mean, in terms of the nearby stuff, not the objects in the distant, you could say, landscape. So the enemy variety was pretty interesting. In my very short time, I came across a lot of these enemy types. So there were these small enemies, and there is lore attached to it as well. You can obviously check it out. You can read about these enemy types, but there were a lot of them. In my short period of time, I think I might have come across at least 5 to 6 different types of enemies, and that's a lot. In the first 25 to 30 minutes, I would say that's quite a lot, because it keeps you interested in the game. So here you see 2 already: Infected Vessel and the Renu Giant. No, I think that's how you pronounce it. So what kind of an enemy is the Infected Vessel? You can have a little bit of read about it. And it gives you like this information, this lore about this creature, and also about the other one, the Renu Giant. And the character design, even in terms of the enemy types, it's pretty interesting. It's really good, I would say. And that's why I'm surprised this is a AA title, but it does a lot of things really well, as good as a AAA title. In fact, I like this aspect where he jumps over without me having to press that circle on my PlayStation 5. I mean, you're just running or sprinting, it'll just cross over that barrier. That's in fact comparatively better than God of War, I would say. That Superman punch is really satisfying. The fighting or the melee attacks, etc., they are really well done. The timing, you really have to press the button at the right time to dodge, to roll, to counter. And man, when you do that punch, when it hits those spikes, it's really satisfying, you know. Well, you can even break a enemy barrier, like an enemy who is really tough, by doing that hard kick. Again, shattering those environmental objects is so satisfactory. They've really nailed the battle system in this. It's pretty good. I was thoroughly satisfied. A lot on offer. There are those finishing moves as well. And Jesse Rentier, he's like this badass character. He gives, you could say, 2 Fs about everything happening around you. Because he is like this cool, careless character who's just gonna blaze past enemies and he's gonna power his way through these enemies. There's no stopping him. He's like really badass. And you finally get introduced to ranged attacks as well. Apart from melee attacks, there are a number of options. You'll come across this gun, like a revolver. You even have a rifle later on, which you'll come across, and probably even shotgun. Although I didn't come across a shotgun in my short period of time, I did come across the rifle, and I'm going to show you that in the gameplay video as well. Pretty good, pretty nice. I mean, it's satisfactory. You know, the action elements are really well done. It seems like a very polished game to me for being a AA title. And boy, is it satisfactory. The action is really satisfactory. I'm telling you that. Especially when you come to the finishing moves. Those are really satisfactory as well. Although, the only thing is, I only saw one particular finishing move. Probably there's only one for these enemy types. If they would have put in a little more variety in terms of those finishing moves, that would have been appreciated. It would have become more interesting. I think the balance of the difficulty in these enemy types is also perfect. You see how you had those small little creatures and now this Genu giant. That's the finisher. Oh man, satisfactory. Roll. You see, I mean, it's really good. It's really nice. Roll. Wow, dodge. Excellent. Ooh, got me. I'm playing this in the story mode, like all my videos. Also, there are two types. I'm sorry. So this was the second type. All right. So my bad. I kind of forgot about that. You see how he crosses over that barrier without me having to press that circle button? That's what I was talking about. It's comparatively better than God of War because I kind of hate coming across a barrier and then having to press that button to cross over. Now, the one thing that I would say is, you know, these chains in the background that you see which light up, they're kind of markers which tell you where to go. In the beginning, I thought that I have to interact with them. I mean, the way that's been done, I thought they were interactable or, you know, objects that you can interact with. So to me, it was a little confusing, but later on I got the hang of it that they are nothing but markers. And they help you go where you're supposed to go. That's pretty helpful, I would say. So this game, in terms of the developers, it's been developed by a Polish studio called Flying Wild Hog. Now, I was really happy with a game that they had recently developed, which was Trek to Yomi. I even made a video of Trek to Yomi. It's on my channel. Do check it out if you can. And I really liked the cinematic experience that I got from Trek to Yomi. That was a really well done game. And that's why I was kind of excited going into this game, knowing that it's the same developers. Now, of course, these developers have also created the Shadow Warrior franchisee, that is. So they've worked on that game as well. And that game, I've not played that game, but from what I've read, it's kind of a funny, again, I wouldn't exactly call it slapstick, but they don't give a damn about what's happening in the world kind of an experience with the Shadow Warrior, that kind of a game. So here also, you know, this character is exactly that. He does not care about what's happening around him. All he wants is to just shoot people up, hit people up, and that's pretty much it in the first 25 to 30 minutes. Now, not a very deep character in terms of the character development, so you don't have this you could say this level of attachment at that level. He's a character which is like which is almost like Dante. That's why I kind of understand when they said that it's been inspired by the Devil May Cry series and God of War. They say that their combo system, in fact, is inspired by the Devil May Cry series, and the camera system, the melee combat is inspired by God of War. I can understand that. But even the character, I think he's a very light-hearted dude. And what I would probably have appreciated is if we could have got a little more depth in this character, Jesse Rentier. In the first 25 to 30 minutes, there's hardly anything to go by. So apart from the badassery, there is nothing significant about this character. I would say a run-of-the-mill, very generic character that we have, a very generic protagonist. He does what is needed, and nothing wrong with it. It's just that when you've played a game like God of War, and you've played a game like that just before this one, I think, you know, that character depth is what you kind of yearn for. Now, as a standalone game, there's nothing wrong with this character. I mean, most of the video game characters are like that. They're silly, they're careless, they are badass. And I think he checks all those boxes. But in terms of the depth, hardly anything there. So, in terms of the character, he's more closer to Dante, I would say, than to Kratos. So again, a cutscene. The thing that I want to mention is even when you turn the subtitles on, when these pre-rendered cutscenes come in, these are pre-rendered cutscenes, you don't exactly have subtitles playing in these pre-rendered cutscenes. But yeah, in-game cutscenes, they still have subtitles playing.
That big shiny ball out there is no good for your sense.
Now, for a vampire game, now you're supposed to be a vampire hunter. I'll tell you what, I didn't come across a lot of vampires, like hardcore real vampires that we have seen in pop culture. You know, the ones with the fang teeth, etc., or bat-like wings. We did have weird creatures. We even have human enemies. And so far as you've seen, we've already come across at least 3 to 4, if I'm not wrong, enemy types. So that's pretty good. Pretty good. Now, so far, from what I've seen on YouTube and from what I've read online, the game has been favorably received. It's not bad. I mean, even IGN, although I wouldn't exactly go by IGN ratings all the time. It depends upon who is reviewing the game. But IGN has given it a decent score. I think it's good. That's like 7. If you ask me, I would probably give it a little higher. 8 out of 10, probably. Of course, you can't expect a masterpiece like God of War Ragnarok, but hey, a game is supposed to be fun, and it delivers in terms of that. It's pretty fun. The visual experience is really there. The cutscenes are well done. I mean, the combat system is really entertaining, engaging, and there's a bit of leveling as well. In my very short time, I went just from melee combat to ranged combat as well. That is pretty good. Not anything significant in terms of the story, but hey, from a game like this, I don't think you can really expect a very deep story. So keep that in mind when you're downloading this game. And also from what I've read and from what I've seen so far, I think this game is just about 12 to 15 hours long. I know a lot of people in today's date might have complaints about that. I'm okay with that. In my previous videos, I have also mentioned about the fact that I kind of like these old type of games. You know how in the 360 era or in the Xbox One era, you had a lot of these games which were not very long. Like Assassin's Creed, when you play it, I can play like 150, 200, 300 hours on Assassin's Creed. And I think that's what a lot of gamers look for today. They want that value for money. They want the replayability factor. But I think this game, it's not going to have that. So just 12 to 15 hours of the main gameplay. It, of course, has a multiplayer mode. Not exactly a multiplayer, like a co-op mode where you can play with a friend and do the campaign again, I think, with a friend involved this time. But that's pretty much it. I don't think it has that replayability factor. Now, personally, I'm okay with that because as long as you give me a satisfying experience for that 12 to 15 hours, I think I'd be fine. But to some people, that may be an issue because this game costs around 2,000 Indian rupees here in India. I don't know how much, and that's for the PC version. I'm not sure how much it costs on the PlayStation, but it's comparatively expensive on the PlayStation. So how much is 2,000 rupees divided by $82 at an all-time high, like $25. So it's like $25 here. For that cost, to me, it personally justifies it, but maybe to a few people, it may not justify that price tag. Now, let me talk about that resolution very quickly, showing you this. 100% here means that it's running at around 1080p. When you turn the notch up to 150, it means it's running at 1440p. And when you take it up all the way to 200, that means you're running it at 4K. Now, let me tell you my experience here. When you run it without the AMD FSR, and that's in performance mode, that is, you are going to have issues with the performance, in the sense like if you take it all the way up to 200, or even if you take it up to 150%, you are going to have performance issues, meaning the frame rates will significantly drop. In fact, I don't know if you can see that counter, but the frame rates have dropped to 30s. In fact, 30s, yes. So without the AMD FSR turned on, you will have that issue. But as soon as you turn the AMD FSR on, the frame rates drastically improve. You get a smooth, silky smooth experience. And please note that I'm also doing a screen capture, so that may also take that 5 to 10 frame rates away. But even then, there's definitely an improvement with AMD FSR turned on. So the best setting that I would say, keep it at 200%. If you are playing it on a computer like mine, like Asus ROG Strix G15 Advantage Edition, I've got the Ryzen 5900, Ryzen 9 that is, and I've got the AMD RX 6800, 12 GB graphics card, GDDR6 graphics card, and that can pull off 4K at a smooth 60 FPS with AMD FSR turned on. Pretty good, pretty decent, if you ask me. And the game has been optimized really well. So it does run well. And even in terms of the environments, there is a lot on variety. So you've gone from those deep red sunset kind of an environment to this bright outdoors Wild West kind of an environment, and you will even land up in caves a little later on. So there's quite a lot on offer. There's quite a lot, in fact, in terms of the visual variety on screen. And that's really good because it keeps you entertained. It keeps you visually engaged with this game. And that's what I loved about it. It's pretty decent for being a AA title. And here you've got that rifle as well now. So this is the second ranged weapon type. And the shooting mechanism, the aiming system, the targeting, etc. is pretty good. If you leave it on auto, it does a pretty decent job for you. It makes it really easy. So the shooting is spot on. The melee combat, spot on. The visual aesthetics or the visual experience, spot on. I think if it could have just added some more replayability factor, it would have got more marks from me. Meaning that it probably would have scored higher. And I'm sure even people like IGN or GameSpot would have probably given it higher marks if there was that replayability factor. I personally am absolutely fine with it. As long as you give me a rich, satisfying experience in that 12 to 15 hours, I'm okay with it. And that's why I was absolutely fine with this game. Here's that other enemy type. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So already 5 enemy types in this very short period of time. Yeah, so that only keeps me thinking, what am I going to get in the future? Pretty interesting, pretty nice. But I have enjoyed my time with this game. I really like this, I would say. And I will highly recommend this game. And I will say that it justifies that $25 price tag, according to me personally, but this is subjective again. So that's it for this video, folks. If you've liked the content, I would greatly appreciate it if you could hit that like, hit that subscribe button, and also the bell icon in case you want to get notified with all my latest videos. Now, with that said, before I go, I would just like to mention that I've had a fun time with Evil West. I will recommend it. I recommend that you try it out. This was the PC gameplay, but it's also available on Xbox and on PlayStation 5. I haven't got a chance to play it out there because it's comparatively even more expensive than the PC. So I prefer to play this on the PC. And the last comment that I'll make is the UI looks a little muffled if you're playing it on 1080p, but it kind of improves when it comes to 4K, when you scale it up to 200%. With that said, it's a wrap for this one. I'll see you lovely folks in my next video. Until that time, I'll say take care, stay safe, and may God bless you all.